Westerns have always played a huge role in the history of television, from the black and white serials of yesteryear to the binge-worthy streaming hits of today. But what are the best Western TV shows of all time? Well, today let's find out by breaking down the top 10 TV shows that the genre and its various subgenres have to offer based on their current IMDB scores. At number 10, we have The Adventures of Brisco County Jr., a 1993 weird western from Fox starring Bruce Campbell. Now, if this is the first time you've ever heard of the show, then you're probably not the only one, as it's somewhat of a hidden gem thanks to its undeserved cancellation after just one season. However, since then, The Adventures of Brisco County Jr. has become an undeniable cult classic, thanks in part to its quirky concept that sees an unlikely bounty hunter take down various outlaws, all equipped with futuristic-type gadgets and weapons. Now that might well sound a bit too bonkers for many, but if the casting of Bruce Campbell in the lead role wasn't enough of a clue, this show really doesn't take itself too seriously, very much inspired by Indiana Jones with lots of self-aware humour and over-the-top action. So if you can manage to actually find a way to watch it, then it's certainly worth doing so, as it's probably the most immediately endearing and fun Western series that you'll find in this countdown. At number 9, we have Godless, a 2017 Western drama miniseries from Netflix, created and directed by the Academy Award-nominated writer of Logan, Scott Frank. And quite honestly, Godless very much feels like his love letter to the Western genre, centering around an ex-outlaw who tries to help a deserted mining town full of women fend off a ruthless gang led by the evil Frank Griffin, a character played to perfection by Jeff Daniels. But it doesn't stop there, as Godless is filled to the brim with likeable, unique characters, populating a brutal western that doesn't necessarily subvert all its well-worn tropes, but rather retools them in a way that makes the show feel timeless, yet fresh and full of original ideas and concepts. In fact, the world of Godless is so engrossing that its self-contained 7-episode series really leaves you wanting more, earning it a slew of television awards and a reputation as one of the last truly great Netflix originals. So overall, it's more than worth a binge, if only to check out one of the best TV villains in recent memory. At number 8, we have Longmire, a 6-season 2012 neo-western crime drama from A&E based on the popular Walt Longmire mystery novels. And much like the books, the show focuses on Walt Longmire, an unflappable widowed sheriff in Wyoming who commits everything to his job as he attempts to solve various crimes and murders, often revolving around issues of contemporary Native American life. Now, despite the fact that police procedurals aren't quite as popular these days as they once were, Longmire still manages to be engrossing, thanks to its relatable, well-written characters that elevate the serialized plot, which improves season upon season. And the show has a really strong sense of place, leaning heavily into Western themes and tropes, so much so that it wouldn't be hard to imagine it being set in the Old West. But as far as modern-day Western TV shows go, it's hard to think of many as worthwhile and consistently entertaining as Longmire. At number 7, we have Hell on Wheels, a 5-season 2016 Western series from AMC starring Anson Mount. Now, the name of the show refers to the real-life mobile encampment that followed the Union Pacific Railroad across the perilous Great Plains in 1865. Yet despite its historical setting, the story is completely fictional, following the lives of various colourful characters, but mainly the no-nonsense Confederate soldier Cullen Bohannon, who becomes deeply involved in the plight of the railway throughout the course of the show, locking horns with more than a few memorable villains along the way. Now, in fairness, the show does take a little while to find its feet, but improves season upon season, with surprisingly high production values, great characters, and some of the coolest Western moments you're likely to find in any of the shows on this list. However, Hell on Wheels is often overlooked and probably somewhat underrated given the competition it had on AMC at the time, with the likes of Breaking Bad and The Walking Dead. But long story short, for Western fans, Hell on Wheels is a must-watch. At number 6, we have Westworld, a 4-season dystopian science fiction western from HBO, created by Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy. Now, back in 2016, HBO was still riding high on the success of Game of Thrones, but were keen to kickstart another flagship show before it ended. And Westworld really felt like that show. Loosely based on the 1973 film of the same name, this reboot was an immediate hit, following multiple characters, both real and artificial, in a state-of-the-art Wild West-themed amusement park populated by androids and thrill-seeking guests. On top of this, the show was full of compelling mysteries, quotable dialogue, and cinematic visuals, helping it to become the most watched first season of any HBO show to this day. Unfortunately, following its perfect opening season, Westworld arguably became more focused on style rather than substance, losing more and more of its viewership with each season until it was ultimately cancelled. However, even at its worst, Westworld still delivers more than most TV shows and is filled with memorable moments and scenes that are more than worth the price of admission, especially if you're fond of westerns. At number 5, we have Justified, a 6-season 2010 neo-western crime drama from FX based on a popular book series by Elmore Leonard. And the show follows an old-school US Marshal called Raylan Givens, played by Timothy Oliphant with the same ice-cold charisma as Clint Eastwood at his best. But there are plenty of other memorable performances and characters, all set in Kentucky, where Raylan frequently hands out frontier justice with a quip permanently at the ready. And this formula managed to keep the show going for well over 70 episodes, with millions of viewers tuning in each week, prompting the announcement of a new limited series from FX nearly 7 years after its last episode. So long story short, it's a brilliant modern-day western with a potent blend of comedy and drama that makes all of its twists and turns all the more satisfying. And although the episode count might seem intimidating now, you'll be glad for it once you get into the second season, where Justified really finds its feet and sets the tone for what's to come. At number 4, we have Deadwood, a 3-season 2004 western series from HBO that spanned 36 episodes until its untimely cancellation, which caused such a stir that it returned over a decade later for an equally successful TV movie. Now, despite its premature end, upon its release, Deadwood was a massive hit, following the exploits of those who lived in the titular crime-ridden town. And a big reason for its success was its cast, packed with prestige actors, bringing life to countless fan-favourite foul-mouthed characters in one of the most brutal depictions of the Wild West that audiences had ever seen. Even to this day, Deadwood has some of the best writing you'll find in any TV show, but as far as Western TV shows go, it's pretty much the gold standard, setting the bar so high that it makes similar attempts look amateurish. So it really is essential viewing regardless of how you feel about Westerns, just as long as you don't mind lots and lots of profanity. At number 3, we have Yellowstone, an ongoing 2018 neo-western series from Paramount starring Kevin Costner, which was created and written by Taylor Sheridan. Now, Sheridan is probably the most influential name in the Western genre at the moment, single-handedly driving forward the neo-Western genre with hits such as Sicario, Hell or High Water, and Wind River, so it was only a matter of time before he turned his sights to TV. And the result was the insanely successful Yellowstone, a show that follows a wealthy ranching family called the Duttons as they do whatever's necessary to cling on to their family legacy against all those who wish to take it from them. And much like the films Sheridan had written beforehand, Yellowstone cleverly adopts many of the classic Western storytelling conventions of the past, but combines them with more relatable contemporary themes, and frankly, general audiences seem to love it. So much so that Yellowstone is now a runaway hit for Paramount, who have already greenlit over 4 spin-offs to build out a shared universe that could run for years. So if you've noticed that there seems to be more and more Western TV shows getting made in the last couple of years, a big reason for that is Yellowstone, so it might be worth getting caught up on the show before it's too late. At number 2, we have 1883, a 10-episode 2021 Western series from Paramount, created once again by Taylor Sheridan. Now, in general, it's difficult to think of all that many successful TV prequels, and even harder to think of any that actually topped the original, but 1883 arguably achieved just that. Initially conceived as an easy way to capitalize on the runaway success of Yellowstone, this spin-off follows the story of how the Dutton family originally came to own their land back in post-Civil War Texas, and in doing so proves a perfect companion piece to Yellowstone, but more importantly, a brilliant self-contained Western series with its own distinct identity. Perfectly paced, well-written and superbly cast, 1883 hits all the right notes as a big-budget, gritty Western that does an excellent job of exploring the harsh, brutal realities of the period. So although it seems unrealistic for such a new series to rank so high on this list, It's not without good reason, as 1883 is one of the most successful traditional Western TV shows in history, hopefully paving the way for more shows just like it. At number 1, we have Firefly, a 2002 space western from Fox, created by Joss Whedon. Now before you click off in disgust, this isn't a repeat of when IGN sincerely named Star Wars the greatest western of all time, but the truth is that a lot of shows and films borrow elements from the western genre without necessarily being defined as one. But in this instance, if you simply take out the spaceships, Firefly is a western show through and through, and arguably the most influential one on this list. Even despite its infamous cancellation after just one season, Firefly had a little bit of everything for Western fans, with the zaniness of Brisco County Jr., the memorable colourful characters of Deadwood, and a badass lead that could go toe-to-toe with the likes of Raylan Givens and Cullen Bohannon. Even the story riffs off classic Western archetypes and tropes, being that it's set after a civil war and follows a gang of fugitive guns for hire attempting to make a living in a lawless expanse, with the authorities always hot on their trail. Now in fairness, there are a lot of science fiction elements too, but ironically for the most part they usually act as set dressing, playing second fiddle to classic serialized Western adventures that proudly pay homage to the genre from which it at least partly belongs, inspiring countless others to successfully blend Western themes into unrelated genres to stunning effect. So it's easy to see how Firefly can be considered the best Western TV show ever made, but I'm sure there'll be plenty of you who disagree, so let me know in the comments below what series you think deserves the top spot. And if you liked this video, you might also want to check out this one, counting down the top 10 best Western movies ever made.